This video was sponsored by Enhance, Elbilmek, a bit planner, Kempower and bilkomponenter. Yo, what's up? We're now in Thailand, a little bit outside of Chiang Mai, and we're going to do a range test of this Deepal S07. What the heck is it? Well, it's yet another Chinese car available here. It might come to Europe one day, I don't know. At least once it comes, I will have tested it. But there is one big problem with this car, and you will eventually know it when you watch this video, and you will also be able to consider if you can live with that problem or not. But yeah, what the heck is this car? It's actually the 6th most selling EV in Thailand, even beating Model Y. So it's quite popular in Thailand, and I just want to know, how good or how bad is it? Well, it's a Chinese car, so bring the popcorn and then you will see how much bad shit I find about this car. But at least it has some similarities to maybe BZ4X, similar size to a Volkswagen ID4 or Skoda Enyaq, right? So quite spacious. Yeah, sorry, I caught the flu from Isabel, so oh shit. But yeah, Deepal, huh? Yeah, okay. So the weird thing is, here is the button to open the trunk. So this is from EVme. It's a rental company in Bangkok. You can rent EVs, I mean, yeah, only EVs from it. Plenty of EVs, so thumbs up to them for lending me the car. And look at the trunk, man. Wow, it's so spacious. The weird thing is that the button is here. Sorry, the button to open the trunk is there, but then to close it, it's over here. Why don't they put it on a similar space? Rear seats are really spacious. Look at this. So when I test cars, I usually put the passenger seat all the way back, and I still have plenty of space here. And then behind the driver, I have like insane. This is like ID7 space. We need to eventually test this in the banana box test. And then here, when you open here, you see there is no power button. You enter the car, it fires up everything, the screen and the heater. So very nice. This is the way it should be. Okay, we have a big screen here. We have no instrument cluster here. We have header display there. And this screen can actually rotate like Tesla, yeah. And here you see the gear selector. Is that straight from Mercedes? Okay, so yeah, we have navigation here. Let me show you. See, we're a little bit south of Chiang Mai. I'm going to drive a little loop up and down here doing the tests. And then if you want to see the temperature outside, you can go to, let me see, home. I'm not sure if this is sensor-based temperature or weather forecast, but it's supposed to be 22 degrees Celsius, nice and cold outside. So if we go back, you can do this also. You come here to the trip meter, which is under charging. What the heck, man? I mean, it's a Chinese car after all. Yeah, so I'll probably use this subtotal trip meter. There are some other trip meters. This cannot be reset unless you have the user. And then after recharge, it's automatically reset. And then since last drive lacks one of the variables. So let's use this, reset it, and then off we go. All right, we're on the move, and I'm doing the 90 test first. So we have that pedometer here. Where have we seen this before in another car? It starts with a T and ends with an A. And then we also have header display here, very nice. I'm just checking that I'm also doing 90 on the GPS. So now I'm just going to do the loop and then see how much we consume. And also, I checked here also if it lies about consumption and caps at a certain level, but it seems like it doesn't cap, at least it doesn't seem to cap at 200 at least. So yeah, and then also I'm using, if you go to drive mode, I'm using eco mode. Yeah, this is actually the lowest brightness on the screen, and it's still kind of bright-ish. But yeah, and then also yeah, with the stock here, you double tap on it just like Tesla, and you enable autopilot or cruise control with auto steer. So you have it here, but you also have it in the header display there. So it's doing a fairly good job. I cannot demonstrate to you now, but it tends to slow down in certain situations. It's not always that smooth, but I'll show you later. Yeah, it's a bit rough concrete surface over here. But the main problem with this car is the suspension. It's quite bouncy. My friends told me about this, Thai friends said, oh, are you testing Deepal? Yeah. And they told this, I was like, can't be that bad. It is that bad. I have driven the car from Bangkok all the way here, and now I'm doing this test. I'm not sure how to describe this, but when you hit a bump, it bounces up, but then it bounces several times. Ideally, I want it to settle after just 1.5 bounce, maybe maximum 2 bounce. Here I feel like it bounces maybe 2.5 times in general, in average. So, and also it doesn't just bounce up and down. If you go a little bit like this, okay, it also tends to bounce sideways, so you can get seasick from this car. It's crazy. And also it's even worse when you drive faster, because then, you know, the forces are higher. So we're going to try to also get an impression there, but this is actually so bad that I would not consider the car. Even in Thailand, in Europe it doesn't exist anyway, so who cares? But even in Thailand there are so many other better options, like a Model Y. Okay, it costs more, or some of the other cars. But yeah, the problem is that this is hardware thing. You know, you cannot just make a software change that will fix this. So that's why I have second thoughts about this car. But at least let's see how efficient it is. And so far we consume 169 watt-hour per kilometer. It's not that low. A Model Y in similar condition would consume maybe around 130 only. Yeah, this car actually shows you how many kilowatt-hour we consume, and also accessories. Nice. Okay, let's check the weight of the car. Front axle. Wait, where does it start? Shit, I'm a noob here. Further. There. Oh, 950. The whole car. Wait, I have to go forward, man. This is weird. Hey, where does it hit the whole thing? There. Does it weigh only 2 tons? That can't be. That is so strange. It weighs only 2 tons. Okay. Okay, result from the 90 test, 165 watt-hour per kilometer. Okay, I mean, it's not, at least not thirsty, but not the most efficient car. But Ioniq 5 was slightly better, but also Ioniq 5 had a little bit warmer weather. Let's test 120 then. And in the high-speed test now, then the suspension still bounces a lot, but at higher speed, it just has a little bit different characteristics, but I still feel the triple bounce quite often. So if you live in Belgium and you're used to this, no problem. And also if you're used to Jaguar I-Pace, then no problem at all. But for other people, you might consider another car. But at least it seems like the consumption is not capped at 200 watt-hour per kilometer. So yeah, 200-ish is still okay. It's not 250, you know? Man, freaking truck mafia hugging the rightmost lane. Dude, get over to the left lane. Wow, this time it was 206 watt-hour per kilometer. This is actually a lot better than the Ioniq 5. I wonder why. Ioniq 5 seems to be a slightly smaller car, but maybe it's just boxier. Okay, let me try to charge now. So yeah, in the previous episode, you showed that I had problems charging at these PTT EV Station Plus chargers, but it was because they had a new app. So yeah, I downloaded a new app, so then it should work now. Oh yeah, we're charging now, getting 75 kilowatt, which is the maximum for this car. Yeah, it's a 66 kilowatt hour battery, but only 75 kilowatt. Yeah, this is how it is with many Chinese cars. Seems to be, well, I was about to say it seems to be capped at well, what the heck happened now? I think it already throttles because maybe the battery is not in optimal temperature. Well. And based on the earlier test, I measured around 64 kilowatt hour net capacity, and that yields a little bit under 400 kilometers of range in the low speed and around 300 in the high speed. So it's not class leading. Charging speed is also not class leading. At least space seems to be good. I need to measure it eventually. Comfort is okay except for the bounciness. So, you know, it seems like an average car, but at least the price is fairly good in Thailand. That's why it's so popular. So I mean, maybe there are not that many other options. Unfortunately, they cannot buy MEB cars over here. They are too expensive, and well, they are not actually sold here anyway. So that's why many Thai people, they are stuck with these cheap Chinese cars. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching, and talk to you later.